This is KBS World Radio, the overseas service of the Korean Broadcasting System, coming to you from Seoul, the capital of the Republic of Korea. We now begin today's English broadcast on KBS World Radio. From Seoul, Korea, KBS World Radio News starts right now. On today's broadcast, U.S. President Donald Trump says China can solve the North Korea problem as it's North Korea's economic lifeline. The White House says, hold on there, President Xi Jinping. Korea has been independent for thousands of years. And the International Monetary Fund says a U.S. rate hike is the biggest risk to the South Korean economy. This is KBS World Radio News. I'm Bruce Harrison. U.S. President Donald Trump is keeping the pressure on China to take the lead in resolving concerns over North Korea's expanding nuclear weapons program. In a Twitter message Friday, Trump said, nothing is easy, but China is North Korea's economic lifeline, and if it wants to solve the North Korean problem, it will. Trump has emphasized China's role in dealing with the North since last year and has warned Beijing that the U.S. will act alone if China doesn't help. Lately, however, Trump has been sending encouraging and prodding messages toward China, saying it's making an effort. During a joint news conference with Italy's Prime Minister at the White House on Thursday, Trump praised Chinese President Xi for working hard to increase pressure on Pyongyang, adding that he has great respect for Xi. The White House has acknowledged Korea has been independent for thousands of years following a statement allegedly made by Chinese President Xi about Korea's history. Responding to a Korean media company, Michael Anton, Deputy Assistant to President Donald Trump for Strategic Communications, said the U.S. does not generally comment on the details of conversations between the U.S. President and other leaders. But he added, we know well that Korea has been independent for thousands of years. Last week, Trump told the Wall Street Journal that Chinese President Xi said Korea used to be part of China. The two met earlier this month in their first summit. China's foreign ministry declined to clarify whether President Xi made such a remark. A ministry spokesman said there is nothing for the South Koreans to worry about. The International Monetary Fund says geopolitical risks, including North Korean aggression, have not had any significant impact on South Korea's trade and investments. During a news briefing at the IMF head office in Washington, Marcus Rodlauer, deputy director of the agency's Asia-Pacific department, said South Korea's economy is quite resilient to external shocks and tensions. Historically, he said, this has been the case, and the IMF expects that to continue. He added the Korean economy has very strong buffers. He did add, however, a sharp rise in U.S. interest rates is a major risk for South Korea's economy right now and going forward. He also said South Korea is well prepared in the Asia-Pacific in terms of bank's capital ratio and foreign exchange rates. The Trump administration will brief U.S. senators next week to lay out its North Korea policy. The briefing will be held at the White House on Wednesday. Congressional staffers and aides will not be allowed to attend. Pundits speculate the Trump administration, having concluded its policy review on North Korea, may present a major policy change. The U.S. government has said all options are on the table regarding Pyongyang, excluding military action. So some experts say the briefing could reveal details about what are called secondary sanctions. Because of the meeting's exclusivity, any policy plans may be kept quiet until a formal announcement by the Trump administration. Participants of the briefing include Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Joe Dunford, and Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates. China and Russia have agreed to address Korean Peninsula issues through mutual communication and cooperation. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said Minister Wang Yi and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov discussed concerns about North Korea and Syria. They met Friday on the sidelines of a foreign ministerial meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and Tajikistan. The two ministers agreed now is an important time to determine a future course for the situation on the Korean Peninsula. They also agreed to pursue more concrete ways to resume talks on the North's nuclear issue as Beijing and Moscow insist dialogue is key to solving the problem. Wang said China and Russia maintain close communication and cooperation regarding regional and global concerns. Lavrov said China and Russia hold a special responsibility in retaining global peace and security. He agreed that authoritarianism and unilateralism must be prevented in dealing with global crises. North Korea has strongly criticized China and warned of catastrophic consequences as Beijing increases its pressure on the North. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency carried an editorial Friday titled, "It is nice to dance to the tune of others." The editorial repeatedly refers to a neighboring country, a clear reference to China. The article reads, "The U.S. is sending an unprecedented volume of strategic assets to waters near the Korean Peninsula, and a neighboring country is not responding, while openly threatening North Korea's self-defense measures." The article blasted alleged remarks by said neighboring country that Pyongyang will not stand its economic sanctions, that it will reconsider the importance of its ties with the North, and it can offer guarantees on the North's safety and help with its economic advancement. North Korea warned that if the country dances along to the tune of another and sanctions North Korea, it may be applauded by the enemy, but should be warned of catastrophic consequences to its relations with Pyongyang. North Korea says it's closely monitoring moves by the U.S. and is fully prepared to respond to American aggression. In a statement released Friday by the Korean Central News Agency, North Korea's foreign ministry said Pyongyang is determined to go to the end if the U.S. hopes for a confrontation with the North. The statement said Pyongyang will never be intimidated by U.S. threats. It cited the Trump administration's recent messages pressuring the North and the dispatch of an aircraft carrier strike group to waters near the Korean Peninsula. The statement said such intimidation and blackmail can never frighten North Korea. It said the North is a peace-loving socialist nation, but it neither fears war nor wants to avoid it. The statement also claimed the North has access to a powerful nuclear deterrent to protect itself from the U.S. nuclear threat. A new survey finds 9 out of 10 North Korean defectors are proud to be South Koreans. The Korea Hana Foundation, an arm of the Unification Ministry, conducted the survey last year on over 2,660 North Korean defectors living in the South. Results released Saturday show more than 92% said yes to the question of whether they were proud to be a South Korean. 48% said very proud, and 54% said modestly proud. 7% said not very much, and only 0.5%, or just 16 people, said not at all. There was a higher percentage of a very positive answer among older defectors. Nearly 64% of defectors in their 60s and older answered they are proud to have South Korean citizenship, compared to 47% for those in their 30s and 39% for teenagers. The percent of defectors being proud to be South Korean is up significantly from 62% in a separate survey. Fruit imports in South Korea reached an all-time high last year. The Korea Customs Service said 863,660 tons of fruit were imported last year, up more than 4% from the year before. Fruit imports have steadily risen over the years, from under 350,000 tons in 2000 to some 840,000 in 2012. Avocados posted the steepest growth of 92%. More than 2,900 tons were imported last year. Oranges were up as well, nearly 39%, and imports of kiwi fruit, melon, pineapple, and durian also increased last year. And that's the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul. I'm Bruce Harrison. Hello, everyone.
everyone, and welcome to the Saturday Mailbag Show, KBS Listeners Lounge, coming to you from Seoul, the capital of South Korea.
It's Saturday, April 22nd, 2017, and as always, we've got the latest listeners' letters, messages, and reports we receive from you coming right up.
So please stay tuned. I'm Lawrence Taylor.
And I'm Kim Ji-eun. We'll be right back. Hi, Lawrence.
Hi, Ji-eun. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying this Saturday. What about yourself?
It's very good. Very nice weather, so I'm enjoying it.
Today is Earth Day, which is a global annual event created to celebrate the planet's environment and raise public awareness about pollution.
Right, and this year the campaign is focused on environmental and climate literacy. On the Earth Day website, organizers state we need to build a global citizenry fluent in the concepts of climate change and aware of this unprecedented threat to our planet. We need to empower everyone with the knowledge to inspire action in defense of environmental protection.
Well, with some of the world's most powerful people seemingly believing that climate change is a hoax, I think this year's theme could not be more apt or necessary even.
But of course, climate change isn't the only environmental issue at hand. For instance, I recently read about a study that suggests hundreds of billions of pieces of plastic are floating in the once pristine Arctic Ocean.
Yeah, I read that too. And even though I think I've known for a long time that it takes 400 to 500 years to degrade plastic on average, it still really came as a shock for me when I recently read on a separate article that every piece of plastic ever made by humans on this planet is still in existence. It's kind of scary. It's a bit of a wake-up call too, I think.
Right, it's true we don't really think about such issues when we're busy with our lives. Always searching for the most convenient options, whether it's the plastic bag from the grocery store or that plastic cup for your ice Americano.
Yeah, I'm very much guilty of that, the last one. But before it's too late, we should really try to reduce not only our carbon footprints, but our plastic footprints as well, I think.
Speaking of carbon footprints, we don't have to look as far as the Arctic Ocean to see the effects of environmental damage or climate change. Here in Seoul, we're currently having what seems to be one of the hottest and dustiest Aprils on record.
Yes, it's unfortunately true. And while it would be easier to blame the neighboring countries and just put on a mask to save ourselves from breathing in the dusty air, it's also important that we remember to do what we can do.
Using public transportation would be one to reduce carbon emissions. And using less disposable goods also helps to not only reduce the amount of garbage produced, but less manufacturing also means less emissions.
That's right. So as cliche as it sounds, it really helps to reduce, reuse, and recycle. After all, there's a reason we were all taught that over and over again in grade schools.
That's right. And back in the day, we were often told that we have to preserve the environment for future generations. And there was loads of slogans like, we're borrowing the earth from our children. But we're experiencing the effects of climate change and environmental impacts as we speak right now.
That's right. Things are indeed getting worse much, much faster than scientists could have ever imagined just a decade ago even. I remember when I was little, I went to Banff at the Rocky Mountains in Canada, and they had a scale of what the scientists believed would be the speed or the rate of the icebergs melting.
Right.
But that actual melting overtook that scale by centuries.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so there's very little ice left up there, and it's so sad. We really got to do something.
So again, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Happy Earth Day. With that bit of I guess you could call it a service announcement from us here at KBS Listeners Lounge, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with this week's letters and reports, so don't go away.
You're listening to KBS Listeners Lounge on KBS World Radio. Okay, it's now time for us to take a look at the listeners' letters and reception reports. As usual, we've received some lovely handwritten, typed up, and email comments, letters, and reception reports from you, our listeners. And we'll share some of those with you on this program.
We'll start with a couple of snail mails from our monitors. Our Taiwanese monitor, Chengnan Liu, sent us the reception log for the month of March. He tuned into us at 0800 to 0900 hours UTC on 9.570 megahertz almost every day of the month using a JRC NRD93 receiver with the whip antenna. He had rated the simple 5 across the board for most days except for a handful of days when the overall merit dipped to a 4, which is still quite good. Also, as usual, Nanlu has enclosed a blank QSL card from Radio Taiwan International, which we'll happily add to our collection. Thank you so much for the card and also your reception logs.
Thank you. Next up, we have another monthly report from our monitor, Lani O. Naraha of the Philippines. Her report was dated February 14th through March 29th, during which period she listened to us every day on 9.570 megahertz from 0800 to 0900 hours UTC. I think it's safe to say that the reception condition for these 44 days averages out to about 54455, with a few days with some 3s here and there. She's also given us more details about the reception condition each day. For example, on February 24th, she rated the SINPO 55445 and commented most of the broadcast has slight noise and propagation. On March 25th, she gave the broadcast a SINPO rating of 5s across the board and said the whole of News, Touch Base and Seoul and KBS Listeners Lounge had no noise or interference. The sound quality was very clear and loud. Thank you very much for your dedication, Lani.
Moving on to letters from another one of our monitors, we received quite a number of letters from our friend Fumito Hokamura from Japan over the past few weeks, with some of them dating back to February of this year. As usual, we'll share with you on this program some of the most recent ones. On March 27th, Fumito listened to us on 9.580 megahertz from 0221 to 0300 hours UTC using an ATS 909X receiver with the rod antenna. He gave us lots of details of the programs he listened to, including Soul Calling, Korean Folk Story, Drama Lines, and Business Watch, and he rated the SINPO 5 across the board for the whole of the broadcast, which is a really welcome change from earlier in the month. We are really happy to hear that you can finally listen to us clearly after so many weeks of noisy conditions, Fumito.
We are, and he also wrote, how have you been? I've been listening to the KBS by Radio Japanese service for so long, but with the English service, it's only been about 20 years. I can't understand English very well, but I like to study it. I hope the English, Japanese, Chinese, and German services on KBS shortwave radio will be kept. I love Korea and KBS radio. I'm also interested in stories about Korean kings. How many kings were there in Korean history? Well, first, I just want to say we really appreciate that you've been listening to us for so long, and I hope we can help you with your English studies. Perhaps you will even start talking with a British accent if you keep listening to me. As for your question, I will let Jian handle that one.
Right. Only 20 years, he says, right? Now, as for the number of kings in Korea, well, the last kingdom on the Korean peninsula was that of Joseon, and there were 27 kings during the 519-year-long history of Joseon alone. That one I knew by heart. But there were numerous other kingdoms in Korea that preceded Joseon, dating back to the year 33 BCE. Is that even how you say it? And then there was a century when 3 or more separate kingdoms existed on this tiny peninsula at the same time as well. So there has been literally hundreds of kings in Korea. I believe in Silla dynasty alone, there were more than like 56 or 57 kings. So I mean, after all, Korea has a history of over 4,350 years. So, yeah, that's a lot of kings, and I quite didn't have the time to do the math. So I hope that answered your question to a certain extent. Now, the most recent letter we received from Fumito was dated April 2nd, and unfortunately, it looks like the listening conditions deteriorated quite a bit again for 9.580 megahertz then. He rated the SINPO 15221 at 0203 hour UTC and 25232 at 0226 UTC, which is a slight improvement, I guess. Sorry about that, and thank you, as always, for all your reports. And that was by Fumito, and another one of our Japanese listeners, loyal listener Toshiya Nishimura, sent us an email earlier to let us know how the frequency has been worrying him.
That's right. He listened to us on April 10th from 0200 to 0259 hours UTC on 9.580 megahertz using a China Radio Tuscan PL660 receiver with a Sony AN12 vertical antenna. He rated the SINPO 45333 at first, but later changed it to 34222 and wrote, "The noise was worrisome for a while. Compared to the past, I feel that the state is getting a bit worse. Although it was easy to hear this time, I have been worried for a while." So judging by the two reports by our Japanese listeners, the listening conditions on 9.580 megahertz seem to be fluctuating quite a bit. Hopefully we'll settle at a stable position very soon. Once again, thank you for your reports.
Up next, we have a report from listener Atish Bhattacharya of India, who emailed us a report after listening to us also on April 10th on 7.275 megahertz from 1800 to 1900 hours UTC. Using a Grundig Yacht Boy 80 receiver with the long random suspended wire as external antenna, Atish was able to hear us with a SINPO rating of 52342 from 1800 to 1830 hours UTC, which improved to a rating of 55444 in the latter half of the broadcast. He gave us some program details for verification, but said that he was unable to listen to the news and the first few topics of Seoul Calling due to heavy interference from CRI, or China Radio International, the Chinese service of the broadcaster. But after that, he was able to hear us clearly, and he said KBS World Radio English language broadcast was noisy and suffered from interference from 1800 UTC to 1830 UTC. The signal strength was excellent. There were severe co-channel interference from CRI Chinese, moderate noise, and very slight propagation fading too. The overall quality of the reception was poor. The SINPO rating was 52342. From 1830 UTC to 1900 UTC, the signal strength was excellent. Interference was nil, but there was very slight noise and propagation fading too. The overall quality of reception was good. The SINPO rating was 55444. Thank you very much for that, Atish.
Thank you. Here's another report on the same frequency, this time from Europe. Our listener Stefano M. of Italy left us an online reception report after listening to us on 7.275 megahertz on April 18th. He used an SDR DX Patrol receiver with a multiband dipole antenna to tune into us from 1820 to 1830 hours UTC. He rated the SINPO 23323. Perhaps the conditions may have been better after the 1830 UTC point, like it had been for Atish, but unfortunately it seems Stefano stopped listening around then. Nonetheless, thank you very much for your report, Stefano.
Now, here's a little bit of a change. For the past couple of months, we've been asking you to let us know of the different ways you tune into KBS World Radio, and many of you have sent us your answers. And some of our listeners also sent us reception reports after tuning into us via means other than shortwave radio. For example, listener Devakamal Hazarika of India dropped by our online reception report board and wrote, "I listened to today's edition of KBS Listeners Lounge on my mobile phone at 1400 UTC. On today's show, you had a new host from London. You also read listeners' letters, emails, and reception reports from around the world, which you received during the week. You read reception reports from listeners of UAE, Sweden, India, Italy, Philippines, and more. The song you played on today's show was sung by a female singer and was really nice. I very much enjoyed today's show. The Inside the Mailbox segment was really fantastic. I found today's show more enjoyable and entertaining." Thank you very much for your report, Bakamal.
On the very same day, April 15th, another listener tuned in using our web application. Listener Jonathan Short from China wrote, "I am a Chinese listener, and it is my first time listening to your program using a web-based KBS application. With the web app, your programs sound like those from a local FM station. That's very good to hear. I like it very much. So thank you for writing to us. It's great to know both our mobile and web streaming services are being heard loud and clear."
That's right. And our Bangladeshi monitor, Diwan Rafiqul Islam, or Rana, sends us recession reports regularly via email, and he often includes the recession conditions on our Wink system as well. He heard us using the KBS World Radio mobile app on April 16th from 0500 to 0600 hours UTC on the Wink 24 channel and rated the SINPO 5 across the board. He also commented, "I heard your listeners lounge via your mobile mobile app Wink24. Welcome to your new host, Lawrence. I like his voice, he said.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Rana. I am determined to spread the British accent throughout the world. More recently, Rana tuned into us on shortwave. He wrote that he listened to KBS World Radio on April 17th at 1400 UTC on 9.880 megahertz using a Grundig vb-audio digital receiver with a 20-meter long wire antenna, and that yielded a SIMPO rating of 4s across the board. He went on to write, "The first 20 minutes of your signal was excellent on 9.880 megahertz today. I recorded the first 10 minutes of your program and I'm sending it to you. But after 21 minutes, there was heavy interference by CRI."
It's always the CRI.
Right.
Thank you very much for both your regular reports and the recording, Rana, as always. It's great to know that you can hear 9.880 megahertz more clearly now. And Rana also said, my son, Diwan Tanvir Karim, is now a KBS listener. Now he is a KBS fan. That's awesome to hear. Welcome to KBS Listeners Lounge, Tanvir. Moving on, it seems 9.880 megahertz may have been a good choice for A17 after all. We've been getting quite a lot of positive feedback about the frequency, especially for the first hour from 1400 to 1500 hours UTC. For example, listener Husniara Khatun of Bangladesh sent us an email saying that he tuned into us on 9.880 megahertz from 1400 to 1600 hours UTC from April 8th through the 10th and gave it an SIO rating of 444. He said he used a Radio 10 band Kchibo KK8108T model receiver with a telescopic antenna. Thank you very much for that good news. And I believe this is my first time hearing your name, Husniara. So welcome to the show.
Our monitor, Honey Islam of India. Can I just say that's a very nice name as well? The Honey Islam of India listened to our programs on 9.880 megahertz on April 16th from 1400 to 1600 hours UTC and rated the SIMPO 43344, which is quite good. He not only left us this information on our online reception report board, but also wrote us an email the next day, and he said, "Dear team, the 1400 to 1600 hour UTC broadcast on the frequency 9.880 megahertz is going well. I would like to inform you that I am receiving good reception and programs through your website regularly. You've made it better so I don't miss any programs. Thank you." Thank you very much, Honey, for your regular reports. That's all we have for you on this week's KBS Listeners Lounge. We hope you enjoyed the show. This has been Lawrence Taylor.
And this has been Kim Ji-in. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello everyone, welcome to the quarterly quiz of KBS World Radio. Every 3 months, we give you, the listeners, a couple of quiz questions. Here are 2 questions for April, May, and June of 2017. Number 1. What's the name of the South Korean actor who won the Silver Bear for Best Actress in the 67th Berlin International Film Festival for her performance in the movie On the Beach at Night Alone? A. Kang Soo-yeon. B. Kim Min-hee. C. Chun Do-yeon. D. Moon So-ri. And number 2. KBS World Radio launched a new program in March which introduces hidden places to visit around Korea. What is the name of the program? A. The Korea Travelogue. B. Talk Korea Right Now. C. I Like Friday. D. KBS Listeners Lounge. If you know the answers, email them to us at english@kbs.co.kr, or you can mail them to KBS World Radio, KBS, Seoul, Republic of Korea. Please enter the competition before the end of June. For more information, visit our website at world.kbs.co.kr. We'll pick out a number of participants with correct answers and send them nice gifts.
Thank you for tuning in to KBS World Radio. KBS World Radio is Korea's flagship international broadcaster, airing in 11 different languages. The English service of KBS World Radio broadcasts 2 hours a day for various media outlets, including shortwave radio, satellite radio, and internet. Visit our website at world.kbs.co.kr, where you can stream all of our content on our internet radio Wink by tuning into various channels like Wink 24 and Wink Music. Wink is also available on mobile if you download our on-air app onto your mobile phone. Visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/EnglishKBS or follow us on Twitter at KBS World Radio. You can also email us at english@kbs.co.kr.